No. Islam.
Islam.
Let's rise and do the honors before we start up today's class. June 11th. 5 on the left, 2 on the right. Repeat after me. Allah, the Father of the universe.
Allah, the Father of the universe.
Father of love.
Father of love.
Truth.
Peace.
Freedom.
And
justice. Allah is our protector.
Allah is our protector.
Our guide.
And
our salvation.
By night.
And by day. Through his and her holy prophet.
Noble
Drew Ali. Amen.
Ameen.
Ashe.
Ashe.
Islam. Peace, Moors. Get down to the biz. Bless us. Get down to the business. So what we wanted to do, there's been a lot of emails that we've been getting from people that, just coming into the information. They might have saw a YouTube post or something, saw our website, like what we're saying, left a message. Right? So there's a few questions that they asked that we're going to deal with. Right? As usual, we're speaking about Noble Drew Ali and his impact as far as the information that he brought and how it, assists Negro, Black, colored people, right, to get them out of that status, that slave status. For the few weeks that you weren't here, what has happened was there's been a new perspective, right, as far as presenting the information. That we're going to present the information at the most adept level, that's basic, right, opposed to the basic level that we were doing, right? So it's now open for people who have experience. Greetings, people who have experience. People who have experience in the sense of they witnessed some things. Like one of the questions was from a brother, Sheldon Mackenzie LB, we'll say for now, right? Brother in Germany, right? So he's got the information. His dad is building a house in Tobago, right, or has a house there or whatever, right? So just in conversation, it came up that he's from Tobago, and I'm like, yeah, for real, well, my family's from Tobago, what's right? He's Mackenzie, right? Our name is McCletchy, right? So the MC, as far as that island's concerned, like I had a teacher that his name was McPherson, right? So the MC title, which means more, is prominent there in that little island, next to Trinidad, right? So in the conversation, basically, his dad is building a house next to my dad's house.
Get out.
Right? And he's telling me that, oh yeah, my dad and your dad were just chilling. Right? And it's a brother that's like on the info, right? And he's on the info in the sense of he lives in Germany.
Yeah.
And he can't believe how much stuff is just there about Moors, just open and just in your face. You know what I mean? Like how come there's no black stuff in Germany? How come there's no Negro stuff in Germany? How come there's no African stuff in Germany? How come there's no anything to do with a misrepresentation of these dark-skinned people, right? Has nothing to do with Germany. If they're talking about people who look like us, they're gonna say Saracen, right? And that's what they say, Saracen. It's not the German translation of something. That's what it says, Saracen, right? They have Berber, right? Which comes back to the same thing. it's not a German translation. Like Berber is what they say in Germany, right? It's not France, right? Berber is what they say, right? So if in Germany they're not playing the game, right? Like willingly not playing the game, right? The thing that he sent to me was the beer company with the Blackamoor head as the logo of the beer company.
Well, didn't you
Right?
have a thing with a couple of weeks ago about
right,
beer?
right. That's the different one.
Oh, it's a different.
That's a different company altogether.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
That are still saying, this is a dark drink, so it's gonna be the more drink.
Imagine.
Right? Imagine. Right? So these people that don't want to accept their real identity, there's a problem, right, with them. That's why they get what they get. So our thing is to get people to see that for really what it is, not because of what we say, because we're Moors or whatever the case is, right?
Aborigines.
Okay.
Getting there.
Right.
Rights taken and whatnot.
And
Government taking control of their land.
these people, Negro, black, colored people, are really, in actual fact, the Aboriginal indigenous people of every landmass on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
So regardless of where you come from on the planet, if you have dark skin and woolly hair, or woolly hair and not too dark skin, or straight hair and real dark skin, or whatever, right? You're indigenous, Aboriginal. Like the land is yours, not to take or confiscate, because nobody owns land, right? Nobody could own land because land's just there for everybody to use, right? But we have the biggest claim in order to use it, right? Birthright. And all people all across the world that know that they're indigenous, right, stand up for that. And other people are going to back those people up and stand up for them, even at the risk of giving up their life, so that the fraud doesn't take hold of this organic society that these people have created for the past 50 million years. That now, because they ran out of trees to cut down, they want to go to these people's land now and cut down their stuff. Right?
That's right.
And they do it. Right? Kill people just because they have an agenda. Right? And their agenda is really to stay here a little longer because the time is up astrologically for them to be in control of anything.
And meteorologically.
Right? In every sense of the word.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah.
After because they just have to graft themselves on in order to make a claim, bless King. Right? Right? After they made their claim, we didn't make any. So they just went off, right, doing what it's in their nature to do. Being that they, the European pale-skinned nations, right, are a reflection of our lower self. So we already know what they're going to vibrate on. And we're not talking about the ones that are on our side that are assisting us. right? We're talking about the ones that are trying to take over, to make it seem like they're the ones that are in charge and we're the ones that are the subordinate ones, right? So this is June 9th, 2012. And the caption, Saturday Star. The caption reads, "They don't tell white people how to spend their money. Australian Aboriginals decry vicious law." Right? So we're going to ask ourselves, this is Toronto, right? We're talking about Aboriginal people from Australia in Toronto newspaper, right? Because from an international perspective, indigenous inalienable rights are the most protected rights on the planet. And as soon as they get infringed on, everybody has to be down with exposing the infringement. Right? And then the picture that they have of the Aboriginal, right, if you just look right here, that's the picture of the Aboriginal people. Like, we know that that's not pale-skinned Aboriginal people that they would say today are the indigenous people that live on a reserve. Right? These are Australian Aboriginals, dark-skinned people. Ramingining, Australia. Living in Australia's Northern Territory, a vast stretch of sun-baked desert, swamps and tropical forests, a tough-as-nails truck is the only way to get around. But with each 10-hour drive in this mud-splashed Toyota Land Cruiser to visit relatives, Albert Dijwada wonders whether the trip will be his last. While the retired public housing manager received a monthly pension of $786, the Australian government demands Dijwada spend at least half of his stipend on food or clothing in a government-approved store. Dijwada is Aboriginal, and therefore his pension is subject to income management, a central tenet of Australia's controversial intervention policy. The spending restrictions leave little leeway for discretionary purchases, such as parts for his decrepit truck, which wheezes and rattles each time he starts it up. So you could probably, let me just put something on the record right here, quick fast. Saturday, June 9th, 2012, Toronto Star. So you could just go to torontostar.com, June 9th, 2012 archives, Aboriginal story, right? Now, let's see now, okay? So this is Australia, right? So this is the picture, this is the second picture. So the first picture was on the first page, to get you to glimpse the article, right? And, like many people, they're not gonna really, it's Australia, Canada, it's news, but they're not really gonna go into it, right? This is why it took a Moor to see this, take it out of the paper, and bring it to class so that we could present the information. That everybody knows that dark-skinned people populated the whole planet, right? So this is the picture of the other Aboriginals of Australia, right? Moors, not black people, not Negro colored people, not African people, Moors. Like, look at them good, so it could stick that there's a man in Australia with an afro, like Dr. J afro, right? The intervention policy, brought in purportedly to improve the lives of indigenous Australians, was introduced in the summer of 2007, weeks after a government-commissioned report concluded sexual abuse was widespread in Aboriginal communities. The Little Children Are Sacred report claimed alcohol was largely responsible for the abuse, and the government pledged to find ways to limit the ability of indigenous Australians to drink so much. Under income management, all Aboriginals in the Northern Territory must spend half their pensions or welfare checks on necessities in a government-approved store. The government won't let me save money for auto parts or for a washing machine even, says Dejwada. They don't tell white people on pensions or welfare how to spend their money. Why are they telling me what to do with mine? The policy also bans pornography and alcohol in Aboriginal communities and gives the government control over Aboriginal lands. This was applied in the Northern Territory as it's one of the few jurisdictions where the federal government could pass the law without the approval of a state-level government. While the policy was introduced by the right-of-center Liberal Party, its successor, the more liberal Labour Party, is planning to extend the law for another 10 years. Its plan is expected to pass with bipartisan support later this month. Australia's Senate convenes June 18th. Aboriginal activities say the policy's extension is among the government's highest priorities. Like Canada, Australia has lurched from one Aboriginal crisis to another. When British settlers arrived in Australia in 1788, Aboriginals, researchers believe they were at least 750,000 at the time, and that they had hunted the country's Red Plains for some 40,000 years, were ousted from their lands, hunted, poisoned, and shot. Within a century, they were nearly extinct. In the 1920s, the population of the indigenous Australians had plunged to roughly 60,000. In Queensland, in northeast Australia during the 19th century, Aboriginals were routinely jailed for offences including disorderly conduct and refusing to work. Between 1910 and the early 1970s, as many as 100,000 Aboriginal children who had white fathers or grandfathers were taken from their families and forcibly assimilated. Cecil Cook, who held the position of Chief Protector of Aboriginals in the Northern Territory during the 1930s, said assimilation would bleed out the color. The government's Human Rights and Equal Opportunity Commission later said that the policy was genocidal, and in 1967, the Australian government finally gave citizenship to Aboriginals. And then, right, so you can just go check the archives, but then, and then here's the picture now of another Aboriginal, right? Big nose, looking like KRS-One. And here's another sister with a child. Clearly, dark-skinned people. Clearly. Right? Moors. Let's pass that around. Alright? So since we're talking about indigenous people, we're going to go to an Irish folk tune called 10 Little Indians. Right? So 10 Little Indians. The modern lyrics are believed to be public domain. The song sometimes begins with a repeated verse, John Brown met a little Indian, before entering the well-known verses. The original piece, then called 10 Little Injuns, was written by songwriter Septimus Winner in 1868 for a minstrel show and was much more elaborate. This song was adapted possibly by Frank J. Green in 1869 as 10 Little Niggers, and became a standard of the blackface minstrel shows. It was sung by Christy minstrels and became widely known in Europe, where it was used by Agatha Christie in her novel of the same name. The novel was later retitled And Then There Were None, and remains one of her most famous works, about 10 killings on a remote island. In his memoir, All Souls, Michael Patrick MacDonald describes how many white residents of the Old Colony Housing Project in South Boston used this meaning to degrade the people considered to be of lower status, whether white or black. Of course, no one considered himself a nigger. It was always something you called someone who could have been considered anything less than you. I soon found out there were a few black families living in Old Colony. They lived there for years, and everyone said that they were okay, that they weren't niggers, but just black. It felt good. It felt good to all of us to not be as bad as the hopeless people in D Street, or God forbid the ones in Columbia Point, who were both black and niggers. But now I was jealous of the kids in Old Harbor Project down the road, which seemed like a setup from Old Colony. So these people that call themselves Negro, Black, Colored, right, accept labels, right, that they're Indians and that they're whatever, right? We know commonly that Indians are indigenous people, Aboriginal to the land. So if they're going to take this song, this folk children's rhyme, 10 Little Indians, and then degrade the song by changing the title and using it for minstrel shows and calling it 10 Little Niggers, obviously niggers and Indians are the same people.
Yeah, but minstrel shows were always done for to try to, what's the word I'm looking for? Hold us. Mockery of us.
Right.
And they were using it in minstrel shows even when they were calling it 10 Little Indians.
Right.
So that further proves the point, you know?
Exactly. Right. And everybody, like I was reading the Gods and Earths pamphlet, booklet, right?
Yeah.
In that, right, now, there's people that say the compiled lessons of the Nation of Gods and Earths by an individual, right? Like one individual compiled the lessons into a book.
Okay.
And then there's supposedly the real book. That's not the compilation, it's the actual writings from Clarence 13X, right? Some people say that, they disregard the compilation version, right? You know, only stick with the teachings from originally Clarence 13X, right? In this little booklet that people are set, because I don't even know they're signing off, because when I bring it up to people in the Nation of Gods and Earths, some of them are saying, okay, you know, whatever, and then some of them are like, no, you can't use that book. That's not the book to use. That's not the real lessons. You're not getting the full lessons in that book. But in a little bit in the book, it talks about the origin of the Nation of Gods and Earth, and the fact that you know the power comes from Fard Muhammad, right? because that was the reincarnation of Noble Drew Ali.
Okay.
Right? This is what they're saying in the book, in the booklet. Right? That Fard Muhammad claimed to be the reincarnation of Noble Drew Ali in order to start up the Temple of Islam.
Which is ridiculous anyway, because they both lived at the same time, didn't they?
Right, they lived at the same time.
Oh, okay.
Right? But the Nation of Islam started after Drew Ali passed.
Right. But
Right.
Fard Muhammad was already
here at the same time.
I can't be you
Right.
can die and I can't be you.
Right.
You know, unless
Right.
I come around after you're dead.
Exactly. Right?
Yes, exactly.
And the other perspective is that they're admitting that Noble Drew Ali founded them.
Exactly. But they just don't want to give him the credit.
But they change everything around. They start going off on Fard Muhammad and how he is that and then all this stuff. But hold on a second. If he reincarnated, if he's a reincarnation of somebody, then it's only logical to go research the person that he's reincarnated of. And then when you go research that, you realize that, yeah, you're not gods and earths, you're Moors. Right? You're God when God comes from Gott, which is a German word. Right? And then earth, when you could say Ma'at or Medu Neter or, right? Because more is universal. It's a universal word. It's a universal name. It's a universal concept. Right? What did Noble Drew Ali say? I'm a universal prophet. That my philosophy is universal. Right? Which leads us into so this is from moorishleague.webs.com. moorishleague.webs.com. An introduction. Islam. In the early 20th century, the Moorish community and the traditions of American heretical Islam were conceived, signaling the beginning of a new social and religious discourse, one that was ultimately defined by the turbulent political atmosphere that dominated pre-war America. From its origins in the Black Liberation Movement, the Moorish religion and methods in which Moors defined themselves and their faith have splintered into numerous interpretations, constantly adapting to the conditions and circumstances various groups and individuals found themselves in. The introduction of non-black ethnic groups into the Moorish Science Temple as Celts and Persians set for the course of universalization of the Moorish tradition. The Noble Order of the Moorish Sufis and the Moorish Orthodox Church of America led to an unprecedented synthesis and introduction of traditions and practices. In order to provide a forum for the various groups, all subscribing to the origin Moorish tradition founded by Noble Drew Ali, the Moorish League was formed as a loose umbrella organization to coordinate their activities as part of a series of discussions on the Moorish Orthodox Church of America Facebook group hosted by the Texas-based Kaliwat I-Qadir Hermitage. Many of us acknowledge the wisdom to bring the Moorish League online. This site is intended as a revival of the League and to maintain and continue a Moorish presence online whereby Moors far and wide may communicate and share their experiences. The Moorish League. The Moorish League was formed sometime between February 24th, 1996, a date considered by many members of the Moorish community as having marked the beginning of the fourth epoch. This fraternal umbrella organization was founded on the basis of incorporating the talents and wisdom of the noble order of the Moorish Sufis, Moorish Orthodox Church, and the Order of the Resurrection. Following the founding of the Moorish League, members of the Moorish Orthodox Church became affiliated to the noble order of Moorish Sufis and vice versa. The current Moorish community has its roots in the Moorish Science Temple, the teachings of Noble Drew Ali, and the Circle 7 Quran. The Moorish League brings forward the Sufism of the noble order, the Gnostic practices of the Order of Resurrection, and the syncretic religious nature of the Moorish Orthodox Church unto a marriage and celebration of rootless cosmopolitanism. Noble Order of Moorish Sufis. The Noble Order of Moorish Sufis was founded by former Grand Mufti of the Moorish Science Temple of America, Sultan Rafi Sharif Bey, in 1957 in the Baltimore area. Members took their Moorish identity and faith in a new direction, embracing the traditions of mystical Islam. The order itself traced its lineage of authenticity to the Central Asian Chishti order, and naturally to Ali and Muhammad. Of particular interest to the Sufis was the history and mystery of the Ismaili faith, especially the medieval Hashashin sect. Many members of the noble order went on to form the Moorish Orthodox Church of America. Moorish Orthodox Church of America. During the 1950s, a group of white musicians and poets, many of whom carried passports to the Moorish Science Temple, formed an offshoot of the group, the Moorish Orthodox Church. The immediate visible change from an Islamic to a Christian symbolic tradition served to prove the constant adaptability of the Moorish faith in light of the demand of its adherents. The group, originally seen as a syncretic religious body, both Eastern Orthodox and Moorish, maintained ties with several errant bishops and Old Catholic Church and Syriac Orthodoxy. During the 1960s, the group moved closer to the movement of psychedelic churches. The orthodoxy of the church was more or less abandoned, incorporating elements of Sufism, particularly Ismailism, Tantra, and Native American religion. While the church has seen a decline of membership in the 70s and 80s, the turn of the century has been marked by a renewed and interest in the activities and traditions of the Moorish Orthodox Church. Moorish nationality. An important focus of the noble order in its inception was the national salvation of Moorish Americans through their proclamation of national identity and obtaining the rights of full citizens. The many remaining Moorish Science Temple groups have remained fixed on the need for land reclamation and recognition by national governments. The new Moors, especially those of the Noble Order and League, have sought to expand the terms of citizenship beyond the scope of African American culture, embracing a universalized Asiatic people regardless of race and culture. Moorish nationality is open to any seeker of unity with the divine ocean. The paths of the Moorish League are many. Diversity is our strength. While the universal nature of the Moorish faith allows for unprecedented synthesis of faiths and traditions, many members choose to accept the 5 or 6 of Moorish orthodoxy pillars of Moorish science as a guideline to their practices: love, truth, peace, freedom, justice, and beauty. In time, a Moor may wish to acquire a passport in tradition of Noble Drew Ali and the Moorish Science Temple. We will soon include examples for those created in the United States and beyond, as well as tutorial on producing your own. And that's from, once again, moorishleague.webs.com. MoorishLeague.weds.com, the Moorish Orthodox Church, etc., some Europeans. Some Europeans that took the teachings of the prophet, because he's a universal prophet and his philosophy is universal, and he came to save the nations, not just Negro, black, colored people, and they're applying it. So some Europeans could follow Noble Drew Ali, and they're not getting caught up in no whatever, right? They talked about the whole thing. Yeah, we know bishops and everything, right? This is Moorish Catholicism with some Sufism in there and some Ishmaelism and some whatever else, and that's our religion, and this is what we do. What's wrong? What's wrong with us? What's our problem? Right?
They were both birthright.
Right.
Oh, parallelism.
No. But that's what it's for. Because the birthright is not for don't think that there aren't Europeans out there who are strictly for everything that quote unquote black people are for. There's Europeans out there who are the descendants, right, of Europeans who were risking their life during quote unquote slavery times to get quote unquote black people out of slavery into the north.
Yeah, the Creator always do that.
Right?
But yeah, we have
Right.
to know that it's a depth to these people. Have you ever read Greek Gods and Goddesses, Greek mythology? There's a book.
Mm-hmm.
If you read that book, you're going to understand what they are about. If you go into the covens and the all these English in the 1700s, 16 to 1700, the history of England and Europe, you're going to understand. If you go into the kings and see how they entwined with marriages and the whole process.
But the European perspective, whatever Europeans say that this is our philosophy and this is what we are as a people, right? Whatever it is that is, came from us. They never made up anything their own. So if we're looking at them and we're saying, yeah, those are the most devilish people on the planet, where'd they learn that from? Where'd they learn that from? They didn't just they didn't just if you go read, okay, let's say the Greek mythology, right? You go read Greek mythology. Greek mythology is Egyptology. There's no such thing as Greek mythology. That doesn't exist. Like there's no such thing as Greek mythology. Us saying that exists, us saying that it exists is what gives it power.
No, what I'm saying, reading that book, they allow you to know they parallel the system of the Creator. And the parallelism is still continuing down towards time.
It's not a parallel. They can't separate themselves in order to create a parallel. They have to be on the same path as, right? They just change.
It's just like
you're saying it's one path.
It's one path.
Yeah,
it's not their perspective. Like the first Greeks were dark-skinned people. So when we say Greek mythology, right? When we see Greek mythology, they're going to show us Venus and Zeus and all these people, right?
That's the opposite side of the Creator, right?
But that's not the opposite.
The 13 that we spoke of last week.
Right.
The Creator have allowed me to know to show you to look at the covens, right? And this is the covens is through the pairs, which is ruling us today. And yet when you go into the law side, you have the 13 children that I told you of Jacob there. Right? The 12 plus the 2, and the 2 is bound up in Joseph. So they're always paralleling the righteous system.
Right.
To keep their system.
I wouldn't say that. I see where you're coming from, but I wouldn't use the term parallel. Yeah. I wouldn't use the term parallel because if we're looking at
Okay.
if we're looking at these two sets of people, there's the originators, right? And then there's the ones that are copying the original, right? The copy can't exist without the original.
Exactly. That's why in the court of law here, they have to use the original to back up. Thou shalt not steal.
Yeah, but they're not using the original to back up. They're using their own law that they created.
Right. But
They're not using. Don't think because they come out and say, "Yeah, I swear on this," that they're using that as the law.
I know. I know the other side. I
Yeah.
know the culture
They're not-
put it there.
Right.
But they still put it like it is there, like it's a backup.
No, but okay. Let's go to this. Right.
I can't explain properly.
Right. Let's go to this. Let's go to this. Let's do it this way. Right. We're gonna read from chapter 46, right? In
I'm sorry.
the Holy Quran of the Moorish Temple, the beginning of Christianity. It's the title of this chapter, right? The beginning of Christianity.
Yeah, chapter.
yeah. Chapter 46. Yeah, if you have your circle sevens, let's read together. The
46?
foundation.
Sorry, 46?
Yeah. It's one of the last two chapters. I think.
What page is it on? Does it say page there?
Yeah.
Sorry, what was it again? What's the name? The beginning of the chapter here?
The beginning of Christianity,
The beginning of Christianity. Okay.
right? The foundation of Christianity began in Rome. The Roman nations founded the first church, of whom crucified Isa of Nazareth for seeking to redeem his people from under the Roman yoke and law. Isa himself was of the true blood of the ancient Canaanites and Moabites and the inhabitants of Africa, seeking to redeem his people in those days from the pressure of the pale-skinned nations of Europe. Rome crucified him according to their law. Then Europe had peace for a long time until Muhammad I came upon the scene and fulfilled the works of Isa of Nazareth. The holy teachings of Isa was to the common people to redeem them from under the pressure of the hands of the unjust, that the rulers and the rich would not oppress the poor, also that the lion and the lamb may lay down together and neither would be harmed when morning came. These teachings were not accepted by the rulers, neither by the rich, because they loved the principles of the 10 Commandments. Through the 10 Commandments, the rulers and the rich live, while the poor suffer and die. The lamb is the poor people. The lion is the ruler and the rich. And through love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, all men are one and equal to seek their own destiny and to worship under their own vine and fig tree, after the principles of the holy and divine laws of their forefathers. All nations of the earth in these modern days are seeking peace, but there is but one true and divine way that peace may be obtained in these days, and it is through love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice being taught universally to all nations in all lands.
Yeah, but when they talk of the 10 Commandments there, the 10 Commandments that they are telling us is not true, because they tamper with it, because when you go in, that's Exodus 20, and when you go into Exodus 34, when Moses went up the second time, we have to put them together and see what they are doing, because that's not the 10 Commandments, it's 7 in Exodus 20. And then you have the others go down, you have the temple built, it's a lot there. So they are just, or people, if they would read, they would gain knowledge, but they are not.
So can I ask you a question? Because I was reading some other, you're saying that they followed the 10 Commandments versus, because I was reading some other, this hip-hop artist had written some philosophy, and he was talking about us as Africans, I guess he was saying, our legacy has been stolen from us and we have been blinded by our own divinity. As a result, we remain slaves, the only condition fit for humans who know not themselves. Like the 10 Commandments which reside in Africa, this is what we gave the world. Thou shalt not have no other gods before me. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image or any likeness or anything in heaven above or that is in the earth beneath or that is in the water under the earth. Thou shalt not take the name of God. It goes on. And then it says, and basically, thou shalt not covet thy neighbors, whatever. And it says, because we break these principles, we suffer as Africans in America. And this was in, I think, the Quran.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering when you say that about those commandments.
Yeah, because those commandments are a fraud. Because the real commandments are the 42 laws of Ma'at, which is chematology, which is Moorish science.
And which precede Christianity.
Which is before Christianity. So why even use the Holy Bible, whether it's King James Version, whether it's Maccabees, whether it's whatever holy book they say it is, right? Why are you gonna go and use paper as a reference when you could use stone wall carvings as a reference?
Because they have stolen from us. Because
it's not a stealing.
So,
well,
it's them grafting themselves on to our culture,
I understand,
right? And making us think that we're not the ones that started the culture.
I understand that.
Right. That's what we're going
That's
through.
what he does.
Right?
He's a con artist.
But that's not like
anything to suppress the true people.
Right, exactly. Anything to suppress the true people, right?
Yeah.
But if the true people are suppressing their self mentally, you can't blame the serpent.
Right, but
because it's not the serpent. The serpent's doing what the serpent is going to do. Naturally.
It's natural in a sense. That's why he
I have a cat, right? And sometimes I live like 3 people. And sometimes I get mad because the cat runs out.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I get mad with the people I live with and say, yo, listen, let me ask you a question. You guys know what the cat's going to do. What are you going to do?
Mm-hmm. That's right.
You know what I'm saying? So when you open the door, you have to know about these things.
But number one, you shouldn't have the cat in that house. The cat should have its habitat. So there's a problem. And that was set by the Europeans, by the Europeans, who have invaded everywhere, the land space.
You know the cat, you know where the cat came from?
Or the dog, pertaining.
Back in Egypt, they used to store their grains in big places and they had mice problem. And that's how cats got domesticated. So I don't know anything about it.
But you shouldn't have.
This is the
it's a long story.
No, but it's not. Here, because
the problem is, we're talking ancient language, and you're using modern terminology. So that's where the confusion is, because you're too ancient to be applying this new stuff to you.
I'm going to tell you, I have over 13 cats right now on my property or more. And I'm going to tell you, I know nearly the language of a cat because I've learned.
The cats are metaphor.
Now,
right?
just a moment, these cats don't like to be what you'd say clown. They like to go out.
Free.
They're free.
Yeah, well,
so what they do, they go and come to the Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly, but the creator is the one
just like I go out and do my thing, but I know where my bed is. It's
philosophy is something I don't go in. What I'm saying, they create everyone in life have its own wisdom. The dog they live on the mountains. The cats, they were living in the caves.
That's exactly what he's saying, I think, right? I think you're saying the cat has its own nature.
Yeah, and then as far as you talking about them being around us, I'm telling you the science how they came around us because they got domesticated because they had a job to do.
Exactly, because the white man domesticated.
No, how is he gonna domesticate them in a time when he didn't even exist yet?
When who didn't exist? He exists from foundation.
Cats have been around before Europeans.
No.
Well, cats come from the lion family.
Serpents have been around.
Cats have been around. Cats have been around before the European. Right? Cats have been around before the European. You can't say right that the serpent is now the European. You can't say that.
No. Yes, I can.
No, you can't.
No.
Because the serpent, because according to
I wouldn't use the word European either, because they have dismantled by genetic engineering and the whole concept. You know, they have intermingled. You read it over and over. They have intermingled. They go down into Australia. They take the crooks from England and take down into Australia and overpower the black race or the Aborigines or the Moors,
What do the Europeans
right?
look like? What do the Europeans look like?
Sir, you know, I'm here because he's the head. I prefer.
No, I'm not
I
head of
don't
nothing.
like everybody talking.
I'm not head of nothing.
No, but you're the one I'm dealing with
Yeah,
right
no,
now,
I'm
because
not
I don't
head of
get the creator is the head,
Yeah.
but you're working under the app.
Yeah.
I don't like somebody because
Yes,
they
all right.
promise-
Let's get back on
yeah,
track.
I like
let's
to
get back
keep
on track.
focus on one
Right,
person.
Okay, well, can I just
Yeah,
interrupt him?
you had something.
So I just wanted to ask again. So what you're saying is those 10 commandments, because I mean now at this point you see this is where I see having misinformation can be so dangerous. Is you're saying that the 10 commandments are a I wouldn't use the word bastardization, but
It derives from
it's a
42
derivative
of
of
42
the 42
Mahat.
principles of Mahat.
Yeah,
Is that what you're
and
saying?
you notice
Yeah.
how they only give you 10?
Right.
No, it's more than that, sir. It's 630
No,
break
I
it down.
just okay. So
It's
wait,
a big story.
my question again is that so
Never
what you're
was
saying
40.
is that those are a what did you say? What was the word were you saying again? They were something an adaptation, not an adaptation, but they're a derivative of the 42.
Yeah.
From and you're saying that was created from the European. No, the 10
The
commandments.
10 Commandments. Yeah, the 10 Commandments is an excerpt
An excerpt of
of the 42 laws of Ma'at in order to make their Bible story have some legitimacy. And then
So
they took
it's
a little bit of the Krishna story and they added it to it, right?
This
And
the
they
way
took
that
a
they
little
sort of
bit
chopped
of
this whole thing together to make the Bible,
Right.
so to speak.
So
You're
that
saying
that
those
means
10
right.
are part of that thing. Okay.
It's
Exactly.
not only 10, sir.
No, but
Let him finish,
in the Holy
Let him
Bible,
finish, though.
in the Holy Bible,
Yeah.
it's 10. That's what it says in there.
No.
No. In the Holy Bible, right? That was created.
Okay.
The Holy Bible that was created based on the Council of Nicaea, when all these Europeans
Got together.
and said, we're going to start this religion called Christianity,
Okay.
and we're going to have this entity called Jesus Christ,
Yeah.
and we're going to have this entity called the Holy Bible, and we're going to have these disciples around him, and we're going to tell this story to
I
me.
understand.
All that stuff right there
Mm-hmm.
is
10?
the 10 and
But that's what I'm telling you, it's
Right.
not so.
yeah, granted it's not so.
No.
Granted
In
it's
that
not
Old
so.
Testament, it's not so.
Right?
No, in the Old Testament, it is not so. In Exodus 20,
No,
they claim to put 10, but it's 7. Because when you talk of thou shalt not worship any other gods, like the gods Zeus and all those, when it says that, if you read 1, 2, 3, 4, it's the same one.
no,
Then you have remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. That's another one.
but what I'm saying though, right,
Mhm.
is that whether it's
7 or 10.
7,
Right.
10,
Yeah.
600, 550,
Right.
doesn't matter.
Right.
There's something that predates it.
Right.
That's
so
in
I would
stone.
like that.
That's in stone.
Right.
If something's in
That's the
stone,
42.
right, the 42 laws of Ma'at.
Oh, 42 laws.
Because when you take the 42 could branch out into 5 million things.
Yeah, I would love it because then I could, flex
Right.
between the two,
Right?
and
Because
see
if-
what is happening there.
If we sit there, we can't sit there and talk about the 600 commandments. We're all sinners. We might as well just put a noose around our neck and jump.
No, I'll tell
Right
you one
now.
of the commandments, the land law. The
Right.
land law is so wide in the sense that if you have a land, which they rob from us, if you have a piece of land, the according to what is written, there's a way to upkeep the land. Not only upkeeping the land, you have to give to the fatherless, the widow, and the stranger. Yeah, these make me solidly know this is true. You have the fatherless. the parents die or whatever, or the father who is the breadwinner.
Yeah.
Now you have the Levi or the teacher.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be supported.
Okay. And
So
who's the last people?
the fatherless, the widow,
Yeah.
the stranger.
Oh, okay. So who's the European?
No.
Hold on
the
a second,
stranger
hold on a
is from
second.
Shem, Ham, and Japheth.
No, don't forget. Don't forget. Perpetual. Scripture is perpetual in the past and in the future. Right? So if the stranger, if it says stranger, and they were talking about some people back then, it's 2012 now. Anybody who's quote unquote a stranger or an alien or an immigrant, they have to get something.
Exactly.
They have to get something, right?
Yes,
All right,
as long as it's from that sect. Because
Okay,
I
so-
am seeing two sects.
Right,
And
so-
you're seeing it too, because there's a bad group and there's a right group.
So
right?
So the bad group
Right.
is not just Europeans.
That's true.
The
Because
bad
of
group
mixing, there's problem.
The bad group includes everybody.
In a sense, but some is trying to keep their purity, whether on the Ku Klux Klan and those, they are trying to keep their purity. And like the Moors down in Australia, there are many other areas
But the Ku Klux
which is
Klan,
not touched by the
but the Ku Klux Klan is not trying to keep their purity. The Ku Klux Klan was a genetic experiment by the European mothers.
Right, but
The European mothers who studied Moorish science to understand that when you administer to the woman while the child's in the womb, the child is going to come out educated.
and I know that's true too.
They taught the European woman, right? The European woman taught the European woman that was pregnant, hate these niggers, hate these black people, hate this whatever, kill them, whatever. So they were born.
Slave history.
They were
I know
born.
that.
No, we're not talking about slave history.
I mean, the whole
We're talking about because the statement that you made that the KKK and those people there are trying to, the KKK are not
whether they are or
trying
not,
to
they state
keep
it.
they're not trying to
And not only
keep
them,
a pure race.
I understand what you're saying. That's the philosophical side. Where they could be saying they want to do it, but they are not because they are intermarrying anyway.
No, it has nothing to do
Right?
with intermarriage. They have a job to do.
Not intermarriage, but
They have a job.
playing-
Their job is
what
the
is the job?
protectors of the Christian creed.
Yeah.
That's their job. Their job is to protect the
Okay,
creed
religious
of
thing.
the religion of Christianity, to make sure that infiltrators don't try to come into it and try to get
Okay.
stuff off of their God.
Okay. Or to bring
Right?
it down.
That's why they kill niggers. Because niggers want to be Christian.
It's because of that.
Because niggers want to be Christian.
Yeah.
And niggers can't be Christian. Because that's not your religion.
Right. There's a little part there. I'm seeing.
The people who are called the KKK, that burn
There are other
crosses.
groups, I don't want
That,
to debate and just
no. It's about them. Because
you have
every
the
other,
cells, the norm,
no.
all these are the same
every-
set of people.
every
Oh yeah, fruits.
group,
Yeah, you can put it over.
all of
there.
these hate groups, right, come out
Put it over.
of the Europeans, right, who were trying to suppress the Moors since ancient times.
Right, and now if you do I don't even want to debate that it's the word Europeans too, because this thing is so widespread now. Because when you go into the Inuits and the old process of what happened in the north with the Berbers and the invasion
Okay, let's say
of
this.
the Haitian,
Let's say
Muslims.
Romans.
Yeah.
Let's say Romans.
So
Right?
terrible.
Let's say pale Romans. Anytime we're talking about the ones, the serpent,
Right.
we say pale,
They're unclean.
right?
Yeah.
Unclean,
Yeah, whoever they are,
disagreeable,
in the black
whatever.
group too.
Right? Exactly. Right? This is the thing that we like. How are we gonna get out of the situation that we're in? Right? How we're gonna get out of it is by pushing love first.
What is love though?
Right?
No. I'm just based on my knowledge, my
For the fruit.
and so forth.
Right.
What is love?
And
You
that
know?
and
That's a real good question.
Because the Creator said, sorry,
No, go ahead.
debate. The Creator said to Moses, because Moses was contending, because some of them were wicked because of the mixed multitude, and the Creator, he said, the Creator said, you don't have love, and I believe it because down the line I think it out. The Creator has love because He sends rain upon the just and the unjust. The Creator does everything for us. What man does for us? What do man do for us?
you got some fruits. I think that's love right there.
That's what
You got
we call love.
some potato wedges. That's love.
Okay.
Man just went and got water. The water thing
So
was
you
empty.
use it
That's
as-
love. Why would he do it if he didn't love everybody?
Yeah,
He didn't do that for himself,
I hear you. But I use love in a different perspective.
right? No, but there's only
Love
one perspective because it is
Love
what it
is to
is.
give, you know what? They give you and they take back. Or you may give me and you take back.
Well, that's okay.
Or, no, it's not
If
okay.
that's how I love, you can't hate me
No.
because that's how I love.
No, that's not
Right?
love.
No, because you don't know
I
why
know.
I give and take back. I can be a very good-hearted person, and because I keep giving, and people keep taking, and not giving, I refuse to give and not take back now.
All right, we leave the word there.
You know what I mean?
Because
Right?
it's,
No,
I see it in
but
a
you're trying to
different
separate
perspective.
it. It's all this different perspective is every perspective.
I don't believe that we can.
First of all, you shouldn't believe because when you believe,
yeah,
right?
I know the rest that's it.
when you believe, the root of believe is
I
lie.
don't like to dwell on words either because the English knowledge
This
has
is where we're at,
beaten
though.
us, so we
But
have
this is
to-
where we're at. We don't know any other language right now.
Okay,
We're not
so
going to know
say that.
Swahili right now.
Okay.
So
Okay.
since we're dealing with English
Okay.
and we have no choice but to deal with English,
Okay.
we have to deal with what we have.
Master it.
Blessed
No?
be the Lord.
Master it.
How about master it? Opposed to saying, oh, well, that's a European thing, so I'm not going to go
That's
deal with
true.
that. I'm going to go learn,
But
Geese. So now you go learn Geese now, but then everybody that you're around doesn't speak Geese.
It
So
doesn't
what
speak
do you know it for? To do what? Just to say that now I know it, and right?
Yeah, but hold on. You
If
see,
you're not gonna learn it,
but we have to
to apply
eliminate eventually.
right?
And I'm in that stage like the Rasta, I tell you, overstanding, understanding.
Yes.
At first I'm saying, these people is ridiculous. But then I'm seeing what they're about.
Yeah, because everybody's in their own space and time,
And
and it has nothing to do with anybody else.
Okay.
Your space and time is for you. You're gonna get it when you're supposed to get it.
That's why I don't believe in churches.
Right.
Because there's confusion, because this is saying that and that is saying that. And that's why not that I'm with the Jewish people, but the Creator have taken me to see their concept. All they do is read. You have to make your decision.
You better make your decision.
Exactly. Everybody, they don't preach to you and they don't make you think. Nobody can say the Jew made me think. I thought for myself because they did not preach to me. So that's something I adore. And this is what I came here to do, was that class. But they told me about, you, and I decided to come and see what you're doing. Because we just read and everybody take their own knowledge. But when you start to break down, like in the church, because I've visited the churches, and it's pure separation. This one break off, this one because
Yeah, but of course.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's gonna be that because that's not their stuff,
exactly. Some is higher.
right? Like
Some
that's
is
not
higher.
theirs.
Yeah.
I don't care if he has a congregation of 5 million people and he has a big stage and everybody's happy and everybody's getting the blessings of Jesus and they have like
You must not call
that. That's still not their stuff, right?
Yeah.
That's still not theirs. Negro, black, colored people cannot be Christian.
I know that.
You can't,
I know.
right? And if they choose to be that, then take what you get.
Yeah.
Don't get
because
mad.
I understand why it is though, because I'm going through these processes, the mixing of that blood. I've done science, I've done all these to
It's
know.
not even about the mixing, because if we get caught
the
up
blood,
in the, if
the
we get
blood
caught
is
up,
life, it's in
if
the
we
blood.
if we get caught up in the mixing, right?
Mhm.
It's like okay, it's like this. It's like we're gonna get caught up in well, you know, the Moabites were involved in incest.
Right, that's
Right?
why.
Hold on a second.
Yeah.
Hold on a second. Right?
Yeah.
The Moabites were involved in incest. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. National Geographic came out. Right? Discovery Channel came out. Like, any and everybody came out and said that all the races on the planet come from this one lady.
From Ruth.
Right?
Ruth.
I thought it was
Lucy or whatever. Right?
Oh,
You talking about Lucy from Arthropicus or something like that?
Right, yeah, right? Everybody. Everybody comes from this one lady.
But just
Right?
to further that, because what they've done is through DNA testing, called mitochondrial DNA testing, they test that every person comes from this one source.
Right.
And
Just like they're doing to David now.
But we're not even talking about that.
Richards, that.
If all of us came from this one lady, then we're all brothers and sisters.
That's right.
Isn't that incest? No, we don't have to think about it. It's
I
incest.
don't go into it.
What do you mean?
Because
So hold on.
no, I
So we're
don't
gonna
look
say
into these areas
we're gonna
because it's a pack of, so much.
So you
Ideologies.
pick and choose
So
the
you-
information.
but
But
can't
yes,
pick it.
it say when the spirit of truth is come, it will teach you.
no, but the spirit,
So
but the spirit
I
of
wasn't like this years ago.
no, but
I'm searching,
what we're saying,
and you jump
Right?
off and
No,
put
but
on.
your journey's still relevant
What do you
at
mean?
this point.
No,
What
no.
happened years ago makes you relevant at this point.
it's not void because it was years ago.
And actually to further
Yes, it is unclean.
and actually to
It's like,
further
if
that
I
whole
should tell you.
That's the
further
thing.
that
I
whole-
don't forgive yourself about
No, I don't. What I do, the Creator try the heart and search that ring, search the heart and try the ring, and I know that.
Okay, here what this
Okay, and I
here's
know
something.
what is right and wrong.
Here's something.
That's what's one.
Auntie, let's hear something, right?
Blessed.
When before Yahshua, before
Yahshua
Isa,
Yeshua.
before the Christ was born,
Oh,
right? Before he was born to Mary and Joseph,
right.
right? When he was in Mary's womb, right? The angels came and spoke to Mary, right? According to the story.
Yeah.
All right? Okay. So if angels are talking to Mary, right, while she's pregnant, the child is also getting that message from God that the angels are bringing to Mary, right?
Yeah, genetically, yes.
All right. So if it's obvious that the womb is the first school, and that's where you're supposed to learn everything,
Because it's within the genes.
Right?
Yeah.
and you're supposed to learn everything, but we don't use that school. We want to use the church, Sunday school, and we want to use
Their
the
education.
educational system. Whose fault is
And
that?
sports and everything.
Whose fault is that? The devil for creating all this stuff for us to use, or us for not using the real
Senses that the Creator gave
that the
us.
Creator gave us?
Eliminate it.
Right.
Exactly.
But this is the same thing that he's saying with forgiving yourself of the things that you did in the past.
But I am forgiven because I push it away through the powers. So that has to stay
the
there.
powers is you.
But it still reflects at times, but I have the power to move that. Because there's another channel operating.
And the spiritual side
Exactly.
is going to work
It is
harder
working.
than
Blessed.
the physical side.
Yes, it is.
Right.
No,
But
well, it's a war.
But the fact it's not a war
What is it?
because there's not
There's an internal war.
the spiritual and physical are working in harmony. Right now, the spiritual is working right now as we're sitting here talking. The
So if
spiritual
the physical say jump in the car,
but that's not the physical.
what is it?
That would be the spiritual.
Nothing
No.
happens.
The physical would be you jumping in the car.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
The
Yeah.
spiritual would be
So
you
spiritual-
the voice that
The
tells
voice
you
would
to
be
do,
the spiritual.
Right. The voice will be spiritual.
that tells you that.
That tells you that because and you know that
Okay,
voice.
that's why the
you-
voice told Abraham to go and give
Right.
the
In a sense, that's right. And when Abraham went and did it, that was the physical side of
Okay.
it. So those are the two
all right,
sides.
all right.
the two sides working together,
Okay.
right?
So anyways, they went on to further with that stuff with the testing. They said that are other, as I said, they track back all that DNA, but there are other sources too. Like there's just not one mother in the sense that what they're saying is there is more base DNA than that. They were saying there's a number. They said that basically we all came from Adam and Eve. They've sort of disproven that in the fact that there was more than one. There's a set. There's maybe like a tribe of that mitochondrial DNA.
Okay.
Proven it. Let's say maybe for the European it might be one set, but that for the whole planet, that there's definitely a few more sets, sort of a few more mothers that are there.
Yeah.
But they all harken back to the same area.
Yeah.
Right, which is there.
Right. Like we were saying too, that we had there was a couple questions that we wanted to touch
I
on.
wanted to show you something too.
I just wanted to touch on this too, just to show you the lengths that Europeans will go to pale Europeans, the lengths that they would go to try to defend the rights of indigenous people, right? So you can. This is something that happened on March 16, 2003, right? So this is just something that one of the Moors, it was brought up, and we checked it out, and it just shows how other people will stand up for our stuff before we stand up for our stuff, and that's what our problem is, right? Our problem is that we don't want to stand up for our own thing.
Yeah.
But we want other people to stand up for the thing that we're not going to stand up for and risk their life, and they're doing it on top of that, and we still don't want to humble ourselves and do what we know that we should do. As if we say that we're the founders of civilization and we're the creators of the pyramids, and we brought math, science, trigonometry, and sanitation and whatever to the world, and we're
so vanity and those plays a high role there. And these vanities were not created by the Moors or the Aborigines.
Yeah, they were created by the Moors, because some of the Moors were unjust.
Within our areas, like the plane being
Right.
built, they don't have the financial facility for those.
Who's that?
No, the blacks.
They don't have the financial
To
stability.
make a plane and they would be
you
blocked
know-
if they tried to build a plane, because they were the first one build a plane there in
Do you know the church? Do you know the church is about a $50 billion business in the black community?
I know,
Okay, so what do you mean they don't have money to build a plane?
but they're not united to do it.
No, they would like to spend their money on pale European crap that has nothing to do with them.
It needs that unity
The
operate.
The unity
The
is
community.
the unity is the nationality.
Right.
The unity is who are you? If we go to a Sri Lankan, right? If we get 5,000 Sri Lankans and we take a tally, there's going to be Buddhist ones, Muslim ones, Christian ones, some atheist ones. There's going to be some Nazi ones. There's going to be some ones that hate their own and they don't want to do anything. There's going to be ones that, whatever, right? But if you make a call now, okay, everybody who's Sri Lankan, stand up. No matter what religion or whatever they are, they're going to stand up for their nationality.
Yeah, but I would go back to Deuteronomy to show that this would happen, according to what I know, because according to what is written, right, is that Moses, was taking these people through whatever, through the wilderness, blah, blah. And then it came where, it's either they adhere to the law or disobey the law. So the blessing and the curse was put there.
Yeah,
And
so
today, when you cite it, it's true, it's operating. They will bake your bread for you, they will, you'll pay for your water.
but what it is nationality. If you don't have a nationality, people are going to take advantage of you.
Exactly.
If you don't have a nationality, people are going to have nail stores in your community making millions of dollars off of giving people fake nails and then you're going to be complaining. You're going to be complaining that these people are coming into your community and taking away things and going back to their own country.
It's
of course they're going, but of course they're going to do
what
that.
I'm saying is telling the truth, but in this sense, we need the unity.
We need
back.
the unity,
But
And how are we going to get
we
it?
won't get it by
nationality.
saying they're doing it to us.
We know that.
Nationality.
They're not doing it to
So
us. That's the whole
nationality-
thing.
We're doing it to
Are
ourselves.
they
That's the
accepting
unity.
Are they accepting
Are
this nationality?
they accepting it?
No, the Moors, the Aborigines, whoever they are. Isn't it we're talking about the, am I
If-
lost? Is
If
it the Moors?
it's not whether they
Look how
accept
much
it or
of
not.
us in here.
It's not whether they accept it or not. Do you accept it or not? Forget them. Do you accept it?
Accept
Your nationality
the one I have,
of,
yes.
of being indigenous to the
one I
planet.
the one I have, I do with 100%.
Okay, what's the nationality? Right. Okay. So if this was a court of law, right?
Right.
You just defaulted your position, so you can't say anything else no more because
Right.
you defaulted.
Why default?
No, because you didn't say anything when I said,
No,
"What's
but
your
I
nationality?"
don't have to say because I'm a separate entity. I
No, but
have it inside.
you're in front of me right now
Okay.
in a physical
Yeah, but there are
manifestation.
others. At this time
Right.
I keep a lot inside. I
Okay.
do. I do.
So, like we're saying, right? Our people have become comfortable in a position of not knowing who they are.
I know who I am, blessed.
Right?
I'm a Levi.
We've become comfortable. And Levi is a tribe.
Yeah.
I don't ask you what
I'm
tribe
a
you belong to.
I'm a
Because
Levi tribe. That I know.
granted,
Yeah.
what's your nationality? Because tribe is subordinate to a nationality.
Well, host, HOST.
All right. You have a flag for that?
A flag.
Yeah, because you're on the
I
earth
will
plane.
use a flag of the flag would be heaven and earth.
Because you're on the earth plane.
Right. So it's earth.
So the flag is earth.
It would have to be.
All right. And
And I will put heaven plus earth. And the reason for that is, there's a contrast there with the spiritual.
okay,
And
but that's not gonna
so and so.
that's not gonna stand up
Well,
on the earth plane. This is the earth
we
plane.
will see.
This is the earth plane.
Yeah.
We need to leave the spiritual stuff in the spiritual realm, right?
Right.
And deal with the earth plane. Because we are here. We are in this physical shell. We are on this physical landmass. Right? We are here.
Right.
Okay, so the spiritual is here too.
So
Because it's trapped.
What is that?
It's trapped inside the physical shell. So the spiritual is here too. The spiritual is not floating around somewhere and it could do whatever it wants.
The bean seed or so. Yes, it is here.
It's trapped here.
That's the creator's business, though.
It's trapped here though.
But-
Until you get rid of the shell, your
Right.
spiritual is trapped in the physical.
Because
So we
of
need
the
so
sin of Eden.
so I don't care about how it happened. How it happened doesn't matter.
But I'm
The
telling
point
you
is that
how I
we're
know
here.
it, though. Yes, it is trapped.
We're
in
here.
that sense,
Okay.
yeah.
So if
I agree.
here is the physical, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So if here is the physical,
I wouldn't say it's just physical because when you plant the seed, what grows that seed? So here is like a spiritual and physical.
That's what he said.
right?
It's physical and spiritual.
But they're trapped here.
Yeah, I hear that side.
They're trapped here.
Right, I know that.
Even the energy that's making the tree grow or making the seed sprout,
Right. Mm-hmm.
it's trapped in the earth plane. It's not somewhere else. It's
Right.
here.
Yeah, I know.
Right. So we can't keep, when we start talking about national principles that govern nations of the earth internationally, we can't divert away from that and start talking about something else that might be spiritual, or because the spiritual is trapped here too.
Yeah, but when the Creator feeds me, I'm fed with the both. I'm fed with both. That's why I know so much.
Yeah,
about
but-
history and about the spiritual side.
Yeah, but
And
it's
that you
in-
learn through the law. But I
okay.
want to know about the 42, that I want to, was it the paper that you, the book?
No,
that-
that's just you. Just go research. You go to the library and just ask them for that, and they'll give you everything that you want to know about that.
Oh yeah?
42 laws of
You
Ma'at.
sure they don't take it out of the library already?
No, why would they? It's the truth. Why would
Because
they?
that's what they're doing.
No, it's not.
Eliminating what is right for
No,
us.
it's not.
Oh,
That's
it's
not
there.
what they're doing.
No?
No. Why would they do that?
If anything,
That's
they're,
right.
they're preparing to
Right?
put even more.
They're
truth.
preserving it.
They are?
Why do you think they have it up in these museums for?
What you mean?
You think somebody's gonna okay, so I'm gonna come to your house, right? I'm gonna come to your house, steal everything from your house, right? And then I'm gonna put it in a building on display for people to come and see it.
Oh, not on, what you mean? They had it in the library before, and now they're moving out a lot of our booklets and things to educate.
So hold on a second.
Books
So
that I
they're
used
gonna
to read long ago,
hold on a
they
second.
move those out.
So they're gonna steal some culture. They're gonna steal some culture from millions of years ago, thousands of years ago, right? They're gonna steal your culture thousands of years ago, right? Hide it for 500 years, and then in 2000 start taking stuff out of
Because
publication.
there is, my son should go with it. Yeah,
We have to stop mixing fictions with realities. Fictions and realities don't mix.
yeah, that's the European style.
Fiction and realities don't mix. If we are talking about my Lord, right?
Creator of life, yeah.
You better have some commas and some other statements after Lord, because Lord is a physical entity.
Right.
Lord is not a being.
So the Lord,
A Lord is a physical manifestation. I self Lord and Master. Islam. Because
yeah, so
I am the Lord.
identify.
But I am the Lord.
Yes.
So if you
But
say if you're saying
Lord of
Lord,
life or the Lord of hosts or the Lord of the
there's
living or such.
the
And you're not.
Creator is,
You're the Lord over
etc.,
us.
etc. It's just energy. The Creator is energy. What makes the plant? What makes the seed grow? The plant grow from the seed is energy. Why am I drinking this? Because this tastes good? No, because energy. Why are we drinking water? Because energy. Why are we eating food
What
and
is
fruits?
energy?
Because energy.
What is energy?
Energy is definitely not God, because God is
Need energy.
a German word that comes
Yeah,
from
I
God,
don't even use that. Yeah,
right?
gods and goddesses. Yeah,
Okay.
I don't use them.
Right?
Yeah. Though we used to use it, so it's
Energy.
not get it out. But
Why do we carry this paper in our pocket? Energy. Why do we?
what is energy, though? What energy?
I mean, what
The
is-
Creator made energy.
The Creator is energy.
Energy
Yeah, you
can
can
be
say
neither created nor destroyed.
Yeah, I know that.
Could be anywhere at any time. The only thing that could be anywhere at any time and know
That's
everything is
what's called
energy.
Okay. Okay. I don't use those kind of terms, really.
Right? Start. Because
No.
energy.
Yeah.
Because energy,
it's,
right?
Chemistry, so I know what they are talking
All
about.
right.
Energy,
So
you know. But
and just like they talk about energy, and then they have chemistry. Chemistry comes from chemet. CHEM and KHEM is chem. KHEM comes from chemet. Comes from before chemistry. Ba and Ka comes from before soul and spirit.
There's your 42
Right.
laws of
Oh, you have it?
I don't have it. It's in the library.
Thank
Right.
you. Oh,
Thank you,
this
sis.
library.
You're
Oh,
welcome.
thank you very
Right.
much.
Oh, my pleasure.
Yeah. Can I borrow this book?
No,
You have to talk
you're gonna have
people.
to write
I have
down
to
or
come in and have-
come in and
It's everywhere, though.
yeah.
Huh?
You get that book.
You can
I
get
don't
it
know
anywhere.
that, sir. I don't know that, sir.
You know now though.
Exactly.
Yeah, you know.
I don't know if it's. I don't know if what he's saying is everywhere.
No, he's telling you.
But thank you very much, blessed.
Oh, no problem. Everything is right here.
Right. So there was four questions, and then everybody could, if you have any information to add on, just add on whatever information. One of the questions was, if Caribs and Arawaks are indigenous, and majority of the people who claim to have some type of Carib or Arawak connection come from the Caribbean, wouldn't we be Moorish Carib or Moorish Arawak?
Well, the Caribbeans are considered part of the Americas, no?
Right.
There.
All right. So the Caribbeans are part of the Americas. And secondly, Caribs and Arawaks are tribes. And a tribe can't be the geographical location that you're trying to connect yourself to. So Moorish Arawak or Moorish Carib would be like saying Moorish Indian or Moorish Cherokee, Moorish whatever tribal name, Moorish Iroquois, right? Question 2, how do I ensure I'm sovereign? Touch on this one. How do I ensure I'm sovereign?
A sovereign ensures the connection to the people, to the land and the people. So kings and queens, these people are called sovereigns because they are servants of the people. Because everybody knows where a king comes from. Nobody forgets who that king's father was and who his grandfather was. It's not because he's special or he makes the rules. No, that's not the meaning of royalty. Royalty is someone who serves a group of people and speaks for them so that no one else can say to each individual person who is in that person's kingdom that they don't have a claim to the land or they don't have a claim to some resources, as long as they have allegiance to that king, because everybody in the region or the world knows the king. It's not possible for each one of us to know the other 7 billion people on the planet. But you know, okay, this is King of Cuba. This is one of the King of Cuba's subjects. And since my country has an allegiance with Cuba, if I kill this Cuban, my country's going to have a hard time protecting me because they already made an agreement. So a sovereign is someone who protects the rights of their people, protects the land of their people. People are trying to be sovereign without knowing that they have full protection. You can try, but if you're talking about protecting rights and protecting yourself physically, how do you know? Do you have enough guns? Do you have enough fences? Did you do enough research? Instead, why don't you just allow Drew Ali to be your sovereign and be protected through your faith, right? But people want to have faith in something that they can't define, where that has changed the meaning. The meaning of faith has changed. People want to have faith in something that they can't define. Well, I have faith. I have faith in I can't even. It's just a faith. I can't explain my faith. If you can't explain your faith, then it's not faith. It's belief, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But after the stage of belief comes faith, where scientists do research and they do an experiment over and over and over. They do it 99 times. It keeps going the same way. They have faith that 100th time it's going to happen. Now, how are you going to put your faith up against that scientist's faith? They put in work. What have you done to have your faith? You just had a feeling.
Just went to church Sunday.
Right? And then after faith comes fruition. And we like to have our gadgets and all of these things that modern technology has brought us. We don't stop to think that it's the scientists that bring fruition out of the faith that they had to create these things. But we don't want to bring fruition into our lives and make things real. We just want to stay on that level of faith and wait for the guy to come out of the sky. But the sovereign came. So it's time for us to activate and to bring into fruition what we feel we need to bring in under the protection of our sovereign, Noble Drew Ali. Amen. Islam.
And then just to add on to that, the sovereign connects to the land. And being that Noble Drew Ali got the land back himself, and then prior to him, his family got land back, then there's no sovereign higher than him in the Americas.
It's too concrete of a claim for us to turn away from, and yet we feel that there's something that you know what I mean. We'd rather roll the dice.
Yeah, we'd rather roll the dice than just take what Drew Ali brought and change our whole tune. Whatever we were dealing with, throw it in the garbage because we don't need it anymore. Get on his program and move from there. Because whatever it is that we did and are doing is relinquishing our sovereignty. That's why we have no power to do anything, because we keep relinquishing our sovereignty, and we relinquish a little more, and we relinquish some more, and we say we want birth certificate, we relinquish some, and we say we want this without reserving our rights, we relinquish some, and we say until, you know, like everybody's tapped into our sovereignty except us. You know what I mean?
Except us.
Yeah. Everybody else is tapping into our sovereignty.
So why is it we are not?
Bless King, give thanks.
Bless it.
Right?
Yeah, why are we not?
And the way that you say why are we not is as if we should be doing better.
But I know we should be doing better.
Alright, so if there's people who are logically supposed to be doing better, but they're not, that means they're under mind control and brainwash.
Under what?
Mind control. They're zombies.
That's why the words of the Almighty is right. Because everything you're saying is in focus with what is happening today. So the people need to find their source.
Yeah, but do you think, or don't you think, at that time there was just as much dumb dead people as there were now that didn't have knowledge of self?
That I see within my
No,
heart.
but if history repeats itself,
yes, it does.
All right.
It goes in.
Okay, so that means
world order.
50,000 years ago, 10,000 years ago, 20,000 years ago, 500,000 years ago, there were some people that were just like us sitting around saying, "Damn, these freaking people aren't getting it." Like we give them books, we give them information, we have classes in the temple, we go down to the river and we do rituals and talk to the ancestors. We have drums. We built a chamber where you can lay down here and project yourself out into the universe, and they still don't want it. They still don't get it.
Yeah, because everybody is not counted within it. Everybody is not, because there's a serpent and there is true man. So there's a conflict going on. There's a problem. And the problem is in our eyes. Why are we denying the truth? The problem is in our eyes.
Right, so we're the problem. So we need to stop talking.
The problem is to respect the supreme, the one that make us stool, the one that make us where water comes from, where all these things come from, where the fruits come from.
Yeah.
Come on.
But we don't even know what the supreme is.
But we cannot make it. Honorable Jew, whoever, none of them can make that.
Right, but people follow them though, right? Mm-hmm. Those places of worship are full, right?
I don't care what they do. I care what the Almighty does. This fruit was not.
But we know that already. That's not.
No, but this is what we live by.
We know that.
This is called HOST.
We know that.
It has seeds. It has everything in it. You are called host because you have brain. You have intestines, and it works. The Creator is the creator over host. So you need heaven and earth, the moon, the sun, the rain, and all these forces.
So if we're the host, right?
And just
If we're the host, right?
Yeah.
If we're the ones that are the host,
Right.
that means
But there's
we're the ones that are supposed to bring people in because we're the hosts. We're not supposed to not bring people into this
of
information, regardless of what, because the soul is perfect even in the body of a fool. So if the soul is perfect even in the body of a fool, right?
Oh, what did you say?
The soul is perfect even in the body of a fool.
Not really.
Where does that come from?
I don't believe that.
It's in the circle 7 somewhere.
Yeah, it is.
Nope.
Right? No, but again, it comes back to what Brother Tesla was saying.
It's unclean. That's what I'm trying to say. A man go and rape a little baby out there. That soul is impure. That's why he came up with those thoughts. Because
Okay, so what about
that's my soul.
Okay, so what about the soul, right? What about the 500 turtles that have to cross the highway, right?
And they crossed
and they didn't do anything, right? And they get crushed by a truck.
No,
and they didn't do anything. Who made that happen?
The serpent doing that.
Come on now.
Come on, sir.
Come on now.
No. The serpent
Come on
set
now.
up
We
the
need
rope.
to stop playing the boogeyman.
Just a moment,
No.
sir.
Hold on.
Can I use my
No,
7-year-old to tell you?
We can't use the
Just a
because listen. Okay, you're right. You're gonna tell me something spectacular, right? About your about the 7-year-old, right? Hold on a second, right?
Show what
The point, right? The point that your 7-year-old is 7.
No, we are talking about the worms on the
Hold on.
we build all these roads.
We're not.
And the worms go on that road and cannot. They need the grass. So over the years, this monster have set up roads.
We had roads before these guys had roads.
Tracks.
So you don't think worms are crossing the tracks and we're not walking on the worms? That's different than building a road?
You've got to go on the farm to understand.
Right?
No.
Right?
These things are programs. They know your footsteps. They understand you. I talk with the birds. I talk with the lizards.
That's you. All these people out here don't even know.
The goats cross the street in Spanish Town.
You have to realize.
I know when the traffic is there.
You have to realize, right, that if you are putting yourself, right, if you are putting yourself in this spiritual host position, right? If that's the perspective that you have, you can't be quoting the Bible and Exodus and Psalms and Revelations and Genesis because he didn't leave that. That's King James stuff.
The powers of the Most High.
That's King James stuff.
No, King James, I can tell you stuffs. I can pick them out and give you.
Right.
I know what King James did.
Yeah, he was.
I study. I know what he did.
All right. So we know what King James did, right?
Yes.
We know what King James did, right? But there was people before King James that looked like us. Is why King James is so devilish. It's not because of him and he's a serpent. So we were the first unclean people. We were the first unclean people.
I don't know about that, sir.
What do you mean?
I don't know about that.
Who?
I don't know unless it's through the law.
Okay, so before there was Set, right? And there was Asar, right? Both of them are brothers, and one of them killed the other one.
Cain and Abel. Yeah.
Okay, both of them were brothers. Cain and Abel weren't Europeans.
I could tell you more, but
weren't even a twinkle in Eve's eye.
Right?
Because if I tell you the other side, you're not going to. It's okay.
Right?
Oh, it's
The next one that we had,
my Lord.
why do I have to decipher between true brothers and dirty Moors? That was a question somebody sent.
What?
Like on the website, through the website.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. This is just why is it like this, right? So we're gonna go to your favorite part to answer the question, right? So a warning from the Prophet. So this is why. Why do I have to decipher between true brothers and dirty Moors? A warning from the Prophet to be read in every meeting. I hereby inform all members that they must put an end to all radical and agitating speeches while on their jobs, homes, or on the public streets. We advocate peace and not destruction. Stop trying out your cards with Europeans, for it causes confusion. There has been much confusion caused by members trying out their cards. The cards are for your salvation. Failure of obeying my orders will be of severe consequence. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom, and when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any member or group of members that seek to hold malicious feelings toward the temple or the Prophet, or to violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement, will receive their reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors must obey the laws laid down to them by their Prophet, and if they lose confidence in their Prophet, give up your card and button, cease wearing your turban and fez, and return to the state where I, the Prophet, found you. For this is a holy and divine movement founded by the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. And if the Prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The Prophet is sending out a divine plea to all true Moorish Americans that they may do their part in protecting their Prophet and the temple. This is an everlasting movement founded by the Prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways. Noble Drew Ali. And then we might as well read the second one, because that one answers the question too. Why do I have to decipher between true brothers and dirty Moors? Islam, I am glad to know that I have a few faithful Moors among you all, and I desire for them to know the truth and the divine truth. There is a host of jealousy about me and the movement by now, by the same people on our side of the nation that claim it was only a joke and unreal. But now, since they have found out from the government officials and the nations of the earth that this is the only sole foundation that all Asiatics must depend upon for their earthly salvation as American citizens, they are working every scheme they can to disqualify me so they themselves may take charge of the situation. I have notified all these things to you long ago in the past. It is through the faithful Moors that attribute to the movement and uplifting funds. The ones that paid their divine respect to me and the movement will be remembered. That is why I am calling upon all faithful Moors to increase their faithfulness to me, your Prophet, and your divine Moorish movement. I need finance, and I need it badly. Never before have I needed finance so badly as I do at present, so I can shove aside the discord that is facing the nation. It all comes through jealousy because of my fame and nobility. The nations of the world will not recognize the movement without I, the Prophet, being head. It has been proven by my works, which I have performed in the last few years. Islam. Also, too, I just wanted to read Kavit M. Tor. Moors.
So, just to go back, you said the question was, why
do I have to decipher between true brothers and dirty Moors?
Right. Okay.
Moors are men, upright, independent, and fearless, who care for their loved ones and follow the Prophet to a destiny which is not uncertain or unknown. They are fortified by the impregnable doctrine built upon love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. It is therefore folly at its greatest height for smelly culprits with their insidious plans to invade such a realm. They try and try, but their own bad planning brings down wrath upon their heads like the sword old Damocles had. Intrigue and scurrilous cunnings find a difficult path to travel within the ranks of the Moors. This is because the Moorish movement has been well planned by Prophet Noble Drew Ali, whose latent powers are abundant, unknown, and may be called into action as a matter of defense at any moment. Prophet Noble Drew Ali knows the people within the ranks who are interested. They are vanguard of the movement as the Moorish hordes increase here in America. All of the Moors are active, not passive. A member's interests can only be in one direction, and having traveled over the road years before, the Prophet knows where every member is along the road. A few feet below is another road where schemers walk, traders grin, and culprits bask in the sun. They think they are on the same road with the true Moors, but the Moors are high above on a pinnacle where they might view the destructionists as they fall for the last time and their bones bleach in the sultry midday sun. Hungry scavengers flying high cats sent, devour and leave crying out, Kavit Emptor, cast out the dead carcass. The Moors high above see the plotters, purveyors, the worst that exists, hurl themselves downwards by their own works as the hawks wait. Right? So when we say the devil, the snake, the serpent did something, right? We have to go back to what the prophet said. That they try and try and try and try, and their own bad planning brings down wrath on their head. So they can try and try and try and try all they want.
They who?
They the serpent.
Right.
They the disagreeable beings. They the wicked ones. They can try all they want, but they're not going to stop.
You see where I think this whole thing comes together too with what I've been reading in the Holy Quran is that really the devil is within.
Right.
So that the reality is that since it came from us,
that's the only serpent.
The only serpent was within us, and so it was from us where this dirty stuff has come from.
Right.
There's this thing where I was listening to this lecture where it talks about when you find yourself in a situation or a problem you get yourself into, you can't ask for nobody else to get you out of it except for you, because it's like you walk into this door, you could walk your way out of it. But it's up to you to realize, hey man, it's up to me. Instead of just being them like.
Here's another one of these things that I
just
in
the trap, just sitting there.
Right. One of these things I was reading some Shaolin stuff is a Shaolin Commandment 13: take responsibility for himself and accept the consequences of his doing.
Right.
So it's all on us. It really is.
And there's nothing new under
nothing
the
outside.
sun. Nothing is new under the sun. Nothing is new under the sun.
You know what my daughter said on Sabbath to me? Though she's not following 100% what I'm doing in the way I'm doing it, but she said something to me. She said, Mom, there's one thing I believe in, that I can fly nearly like a bird. And I smiled. Yes, it's not, I told her it's not flying like a bird, but yes, your spirit, that soul can lift up so high that it's like flying like a bird, you know? And I respect her for that.
Yep.
And pray for her. Always that she'll go higher and see more light, you know? So, yes, you're responsible for this wicked act, but
remember, your actions dictate a lot of what she's gonna do.
in what way?
You lead the way.
I've done it. Blessed be the Lord.
Exactly. So you
I
can't
did
look
set
for
that
anybody else, but you lead in the way because you're saying, Lord, it's going to work through you. So you gotta lead the way.
I've done what I have to do, and it's left because we are separate individuals in the world. I always say you have a mother have 4 children, and out of that 4 children, it's 4 different minds, right? But it's a system we are in, whatever it's there, genetically, blah, blah, it is there, you know? So, blessed be the one that...
The last question was, my heart pains because I've been swindled, but I can't turn my back on Drew Ali. What should I do?
Swindled by who?
I guess just by people, you know, trying to sell him or her their birthright.
These questions came online to you?
Yeah.
Okay, so
these are just people who
want to ask some questions.
Just want to ask questions, so they send that question to the.
Question is.
Yeah, like my heart pains because I've been swindled, but I can't turn my back on Drew Ali.
Well, that's an answer of itself.
You're
not turning your answer on Drew Ali. The people who swindle you are not Drew Ali.
Right.
And if Drew Ali teaches you to study and to study yourself, and not to be swindled.
Right.
That's number one. So if you want to go out there and be swindled again, you know, how does the saying go? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me.
Yeah.
Well, that's the bottom line right there. We're supposed to be responsible for ourselves.
It's okay.
Just a tap on the back. Just you'll be all right. You know, keep doing your thing. Keep doing your thing.
That's right. If you
keep doing your thing.
If you can't turn your back on Drew Ali, it's because you've been reading Drew Ali's teachings. Continue to read them. And you'll get...
Maybe there's a part... Sorry,
no, but bottom line is when you read the teachings, you will read enough and understand enough not to be swindled by anybody coming around anymore.
Right.
You know?
And I think also what it's showing is that possibly whoever this person is has lost faith. Has lost faith.
Well, true, but you're not supposed to be putting your faith in swindlers. Let's
Yeah.
just put it that way. You know what I mean?
It's not the place.
You were quoting something from the Shaolins a while ago. I come from a Buddhist background. In Buddhism, they talk about, particularly Nichiren Buddhism, it's not about having faith in the man, it's about having faith in the law.
Yeah.
And that's the bottom line right there. So people can come from all over the place and tell you they got the truth and they got the answer. And well, you got to start putting two and two together at some point. We all have to take responsibility. So we can say, well, God's making me do it, and the devil made me do that. Yeah, you can say those things till the cows come home, but you're not dealing with anything if you do it that way. You have to come, like this brother was saying here, and you have to decide, what am I going to do? How am I going to put myself in this, and how am I going to take myself out? And it doesn't have to be diametrically opposed to anybody's beliefs, because I know the sister here sounds like she has some knowledge of Christianity and the Bible and things like that, and that's cool, because the Bible, I don't know a lot about it, but we read from the Bible and in a lot of other teachings that God made us in God's image.
That's right.
So we're all a part of God still.
That's right.
But it's also about us taking responsibility. We have free will.
Well, I think what you're saying there too, though, in part of your statement earlier, which was that basically saying this stuff has happened, it seems to me that in some of these religions, which to me are dogmas, leave you feeling like some other power outside of you is what's responsible.
But that's
for
all
these.
been orchestrated. And when they say Matthew Nature books over here, they'll break it down for you chronologically.
Right.
All of these teachings, the Bhagavad Gita, and everything up until Christianity talked about our autonomy and talked about how we all had the power to do all of these miraculous things. And it wasn't about patriarchy either. And the minute Christianity and whoever these people are, the Western man and these other folks that we've been talking about tonight came on the scene, and don't forget, they're the babies on the scene. Everybody else has been around here for a hell of a lot longer. So when we're talking about them and their low-mindedness, yes, it's our lower nature we're talking about, and we've been around a lot longer, so we're supposed to be higher than them, and that's how we used to live our lives. And when we were talking about the 10 Commandments or the 50 or the 500, it don't matter how many. We didn't deal with commandments. We dealt with responsibility. It wasn't thou shalt not, it was I have not. So it's a whole different way of looking at things that we're talking about here, right? And, you know, and this is why, getting back to that same question, you know, it's like I come up to you and I slap you in your face, okay? But all the other people in this room aren't going to slap you in your face. And if they come to you with something good, you're not going to say, well, no, Maida slapped me, so I can't listen to any of you people. No, you have to make some kind of judgments on your own too. You know, you can't just say, well.
But in essence, it's interesting you make that comment, because in a sense, that's how we seem to be. This society seems to be set up. You slapped me in my face, so now I have to feel like everyone's going to slap me in my face.
Well, what? And so, but did you learn nothing from the slap? What's the lesson?
Yeah,
you know,
exactly. And you need another one?
Come on, I'll swindle you. You know,
I got slaps, I got mad slaps. Got slaps for days. Right?
And it's like anything else. I don't, you know, people will try to make all kinds of excuses for not doing certain things. And they'll say, well, I was swindled in the past. Yeah. We've all been swindled in the past in one way or another. But do we lay down and die because of that? Or do we say, okay, let me find out what it is that I need to do with my life, and then find my way to do it? You know what I mean? You don't have to give anybody any money. If they're only coming with their hands out, then that should be, your antenna should go up right away. That's my thing.
Another thing, people in general, they're so, I don't know what the word is, there's a word for it. But to even say you want to learn from the mistakes or whatever happens out there with the people when you're out there, within themselves, they can't even trust themselves to even begin on the outward thing. Like, people need to deal with what's inside before they deal with what's outside.
Excellent. That's an excellent point.
But as well as I think the other point too is, though, I think there is something to be learned from what you said about the mistakes. I think that it's in failure where one can learn.
Yeah.
Or
It's
if-
all about lessons.
if-
Everything
that's
that
right.
we have to come up
I mean,
against
if
in life
everything-
is a lesson.
If everything you did worked out, then
Yeah, when are you going to learn something?
well, no, life would be great, I guess. But I'm saying, I
But
think
that's
it's.
the way it should be.
No, if everything worked
That's
out,
the
you
way it
haven't
should
done
have been.
nothing. Hey,
So
true.
some-
You're probably right
If
about
every
That's
that.
time she didn't get out of bed, she just said, hey,
Yeah, yeah.
everything worked out, I just came
If you look at the spiritual life, if you look at the spiritual life, yes, that should be the way it should have been.
Well,
Perfection.
what they're talking about maybe.
But there is
the
a
sort of-
problem, and it is in our eyes.
They're talking about
It is
the
here.
Garden of Eden,
And we
let's
need
say,
to
or something like that.
focus and see that it is there.
But
Go
is,
through your
is
history,
the
go
problem-
through all the
is
areas.
the problem external or is it internal?
It is both ways, because
Okay.
people are doing it.
But I think
People
we-
don't do anything to us without our permission,
That's right.
unless they do it at
It's
the
not
point of
true,
attack.
That's
madam.
right.
If you
Yeah.
are born from the 60s and from the 40s, and I'm going to tell you, aging, you get a lot of experience. And
Right.
things I know from the whole age, even growing children in this country, you cannot slap that child. I get enough slaps to make me a right person. Thank the Lord.
You could slap the child.
Okay?
You should slap the child sometimes.
Sir, I
You
don't
could.
like you saying that because you know you're going to get in trouble if that child pick up the phone and call the
Oh,
police.
then they get 6 more slaps for that.
No, but they're going to get it and they're going to take your child.
Then they
They're
get
going
six,
to take your
they
child.
get 6 more slaps for that, and then
Through the powers that
And
I
that-
know so many parents have to run to Jamaica because they are taking their children because
right.
it is why do we denounce the
No,
truth?
but why? Why are they doing that? They're doing that because we
I understand that. I understand we are not training the children.
no, we choose to be in a position
Where they have
of
access.
subordinate, where they are the.
Right,
head.
that's the thing where this serpent come into play.
It has nothing to do with
Beat around the
serpent.
bush.
The serpent
It
is
is
us.
there.
The serpent is us.
Yes, because we eat off that tree of.
Actually, that is
No,
true. That
it
is
is true.
That we've eaten from the tree, right? In the fact that
What's the
we
tree?
don't- No,
The tree of
to me, it's the tree of.
Yes,
Oh, no. Yeah, like
the tree of good and evil, and it's still within us.
Okay.
still
No, to me,
the
it's
tree of good and evil.
it's the truth.
Yeah.
To me,
It's
it's the
the truth.
So then if you
It's
ate, if you,
the
if the
truth.
So
problem,
if you ate of
the problem was that you ate from the
Yes.
tree of the knowledge of good
And
and evil,
this is a spiritual tree.
right? So
It's not. It may be because there's a contrast there where it could. People say you have the tree of life or this and that. Yes, you know within you that there's good and evil. The
Okay.
person gives you to eat today. You know this person is hungry.
So what
And
did you know
feed
before?
him today, but tomorrow you hide that food and say,
So did you
oh,
know-
he should have a job. Oh,
Yeah.
he should. I've heard it all.
Yeah, but
No, you
You've heard
feed
it all.
that person.
yeah, and before you ate from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, what did you know of evil?
What did I know of evil?
Yeah.
I know of what evil is today. I'm not
Yeah.
the creator.
But because
Okay,
someone ate
there's a
because someone ate a
foundation.
fruit. But before the fruit was eaten,
Mhm.
what did the people back then know of evil?
of evil before they ate from the fruit from the tree.
That is true.
How did they
No,
know?
they did not know of evil.
So when evil walked past them, they wouldn't know, right?
What do you mean?
If evil walked past Eve before she ate the fruit, would she know it's
Yeah,
evil?
but according, she was naked.
Well, that's not even the
Before-
point. We're not even going there.
No, you don't have to. But
Did she
yes,
know? Did
Did
she
she
know?
know?
Yes or no?
Did she know?
she did not realize the fullness until the
Mm-hmm.
creator of heaven and earth allowed her to know.
Via
Just
a
like
thing
today, you have
of
a little
fruit.
child.
Via of eating from the
Because the
from
creator
the
doesn't
tree.
come down and do.
That's how she knew, because she ate the fruit. Then she realized, oh,
No,
that's
but
the
she
devil.
was
Wait a
told
minute. So
not
what you're
to
saying
eat from the
is
tree.
that's her responsibility.
If you're gonna know about good and evil,
That's
You
what I'm
have
saying. The
seven
first contact
trees.
was her saying that I
My-
want to know about that because it was told not to eat,
My father have a house.
right?
And he left rules within the house.
it's not
My
simple.
father,
Contract.
my father have a house. My father have a house. And he left rules within that house. Not to touch certain things or whatever.
Or what's gonna
And
happen?
one of this child, whoever, touches one of that thing.
Yeah,
That's punishment for the child.
yeah, for sure.
And that's death.
oh, but
And that's where death is.
and he's not when he goes to punish the child, he's not worried about CAS coming and saying, oh well, you know, CAS is gonna take my child, so I can't discipline my child. You discipline that child because the child deserves to get disciplined.
Exactly.
Not
So that's
because
what we are about.
we're scared
You're
that
right.
these guys are gonna try
You're
to
right.
come and
So
take my
that is
child.
what we are doing today.
But we're doing that today because we lack knowledge of nationality.
That's right.
We lack knowledge.
I know all that
We
side.
lack-
I agree.
Right.
Of course I agree.
Right.
100%.
Okay.
I don't believe in Muhammad. I told you I don't believe in all these prophets. I believe in the Supreme, the one that make this.
But if you believe in the Supreme, you have to believe in all
And
those
you don't-
prophets because they sent them.
Because we are in the system of that.
You
When
said
we are
that.
in the pure system, we live within the system. But whatever is happening accordingly with the serpent and man and the old function, yeah, we are in another phase. We are in another world when we should have been in that spiritual world. We don't need that world. We have to still know about it because we are in it. But when you know of
I think
the
so.
Supreme, who is that you call? No, I would like to
Allah?
know Allah.
Yeah.
Is he the Supreme?
It's not a he, it's a she,
Or she? I don't care who this one is because I don't know. But okay, she, he, or whatever. Who is this? Because
Well,
the people
you know
over
the
there,
creator.
the
You know the
Muslim
creator. What's the
worship
creator? What's the creator?
God. The creator is host.
All right. So that's what Allah is.
Host.
Right.
And that's what the word means.
That's what Allah is.
Just a different name from what you're calling it.
That's okay.
It's just a
You know.
different name.
I see the same behavior, but you people, because I maybe talk about the Bible, I don't use the Bible in a sense because it is within us. I could go through the different virginity, which is all these things. I could go through it, and because we are lacking virginity, to have our one man, there's confusion. If you go into the land laws, the parental law is the same thing. The old law I gave you to read.
Islam.
Islam.
It's not Islam. No
Oh, it's
way.
Islam, all right. You might think it's not Islam. Right. And what's Islam? I self law and master. Islam.
What is it?
ISLAM.
I
Right.
hear you. But they over there do the same thing.
No, but they don't.
Yes,
No,
they do.
they don't.
But that's it.
No,
I
it's not that. You're
I
assuming
define
that's
myself
it.
as a Jew, but I'm not a Jew.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So if you're not a Jew, why am I Muslim? Because I say Islam,
Okay.
right?
But I changed the word though that they use to host because the Lord of hosts is
Yeah.
the name.
And we say
So I
Islam,
move on
I
from-
self law and master. We don't say Islam and that's it. We say I self law and master because I
Right,
self
right,
am the law,
right.
and once I know the law,
Right.
now I can master the earth plane,
Okay.
which is what we're supposed to do.
That's
I
right.
hear you.
Allah, the Father of the universe,
Allah, the Father of the universe,
Father of love,
Father of love,
truth, peace,
peace,
freedom,
freedom,
and justice.
and justice.
Allah is our protector,
Allah is our protector,
our guide,
our God,
and our salvation,
and our salvation.
by night
By night
and by day,
and by day.
through His and Her holy prophet,
Through His and her holy prophet,
Noble Drew Ali,
Noble Drew Ali,
Ashe,
Ashe,
Islam.
Islam.
Good class.
Morris.
Can you turn this off? Are you going to turn that off? Is it on or is it off?
Very lively.
Oh, no, I gotta take that off.
Very, very, very lively.
There you go, right?